Hey, love. Welcome to No Matcha No Mama, the podcast where we pour a little matcha and a whole lot of truth. Each week, I sit down with someone I admire, founders, healers, creatives, and friends, and we sip a matcha I've made just for them based on what they love. I like to do everything with intention, from the ingredients in your cup to the conversations that we have. And the show is more than just about talking. It's about exploring how we can truly thrive through all the mess and magic of being human. Here we start with matcha because how we start matters.
So, how are you doing?
Are you going to ask me that again?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready. I'm as ready as I'll ever be. All right, honey. It's my turn to interview you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just you today. No guests, no interview.
I guess I'm the guest and you're the interviewee. It's kind of reversed.
Yeah, absolutely. So why did you want to do this episode and share your own story?
I wanted to do this episode to share my own story because part of the reason why I even started this podcast to begin with was so that I could create a space for people to relate to and to feel less alone, and just a space to like learn and educate and inspire people. And so I thought it would be fitting to share my own story since I do have a health and wellness journey.
Right.
That's been we all do, right? So I said, why not? I think it's important for people to know maybe my experience through all of this, since there is a lot there.
Right.
And I do have I have a wealth of knowledge about this space, so why not share what I can?
Right.
It's not just about the people that I interview. Like, I have something to offer as well, I'd like to think.
Absolutely, honey. I love that. So you said before that you created this podcast with a lot of intention.
Yes.
What was the original spark or reason behind it?
Well, I originally started just on Instagram. I wanted to just share my experiences and what I love and what I do, just everything in the health and wellness space that is important to me. And I just started sharing that on Instagram.
Right.
And I didn't think that there was enough there. It didn't feel like sustainable to me personally. Like, I know that is obviously a job for people, but I personally
it's very time consuming.
Right. It was really time consuming.
Not that this isn't time consuming.
No, but this is different. So I started there, and I think I craved a little bit more connection with people. And so I always love having these conversations with people, not on the camera, but off the camera, just with my friends, with the people that I love. In depth, the deep conversations about anything really, but health and wellness in particular. And so I thought it would be really fun and inspiring for me to have tape conversations for people to listen to and to delve into different topics that would benefit others, because that's really part of what I want for this is to share information and to inspire and to educate and to obviously for people to relate to and to feel less alone. But I want it to be a space where people come to learn more about a lot of different things in this space.
Yeah.
And so that's why I started it, because I wanted to feel more inspired and also inspire others.
And I think you've actually had a really nice opportunity to expand your own knowledge through the conversations that you've had. Not just with friends and people in your own and people that you see in your own circle, but expanding outside of that as well.
Yeah. I think that I'm learning so much from these conversations. And I love that because I'm always searching and researching, right? Like, that's what I spend a lot of my time doing.
Of course.
And so being able to gain information just from an hour conversation is so satisfying. And so I'm really grateful that I get to do that.
For anyone who's new here, how would you describe what No Matcha No Mama is really about?
No Matcha No Mama is really about, well, obviously it's about matcha, but it's not just about matcha. It's about finding rituals and finding things in our daily lives that can help ground us and make us better people. And sharing relatable stories, because I think sharing, in order for someone to feel like they can relate to something, the best way is sharing a story and sharing an experience, because when you hear somebody else's experience, you're like, oh, I've been through that. That makes me feel less alone in this situation. And so that, I think, is really key and important to making people feel heard and accepted. And so what I want in this space is for people to feel like they're a part of a community that feels heard and seen and accepted, and also less alone and inspired and educated, and just spreading the love. And
right. And picking up maybe some tools.
And picking up tools along the way that might help them in their daily life. Like, everything starts, I think it starts with like one simple thing that can shift everything. Like, start with one ritual and then you can start adding more in. But just by starting somewhere,
right,
I think that people can feel more grounded. And
people tend to be so afraid of change.
Yes.
And when you see other people have made changes in their lives for the better, or have found things that help, tools that help them, and to see that and to hear about those stories, I imagine it's powerful and helpful.
Yeah. And I've had, actually, since starting this, I've had people reach out and say that they feel, they're like, well, I listened to your podcast and, it made me feel so great to like hear someone else going through something similar. And it's really validating because I think we can all feel like we're all going through something and no one else is going through that. And to just hear that someone else has been through something similar just makes you feel more comfortable in what you're going through and safe, right?
You're not alone.
So, yeah, exactly.
Right. Because it can be scary. Life can be scary.
Life is scary all the time.
Right.
You go through like highs and lows, and I think that obviously you need to go through lows in order to like feel the highs, right? In order for those to feel more special. Because if we all just rode along life like this, nothing would feel, you wouldn't feel
anything.
You would just feel kind of.
Yeah. There's a Jason Mraz song that I love. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. But where he really, he talks about how, you can't have sunshine without rain. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
You can't feel happiness without feeling some sort of pain.
Right.
Because that happiness wouldn't feel like happiness if you didn't feel.
The pain defines the happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness defines the pain.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
It does.
Right.
And we all need to go through ups and downs. That's just part of life.
Right. Of course. It's what we learn from those experiences.
Yes, every single one of them.
We grow and learn. So your own experience and your own journey, you've talked about how wellness really started with your gut. Yes. Your journey really started within your gut. Can you share a little bit more about what you were dealing with back then?
Yeah. I think my entire childhood and into my teenage years, I was constipated. And I know there's a stigma around talking about poop. So I'm sorry if this makes you feel really uncomfortable. But
I think we did a pretty good job early on in our relationship with making sure that we were comfortable with using the restroom.
Everybody goes to the bathroom.
Of course.
It's just
I think that as a guy, for me, it's actually like the more attention you can bring to it earlier on in a relationship, the better.
That's interesting because I think a lot of women are scared of pooping in front of their husband or boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they don't want them to smell something or they don't want to fart in front of them. Like there's this big stigma around women in general going to the bathroom or having gas or whatever because they don't want their partner to hear or smell anything.
Right.
Or know what just happened in the bathroom and needs to smell good afterwards.
Right.
But
that's why I wonder if when we first started dating, like just spending like 20 minutes in there, like making it so obvious that I was going to the bathroom.
Did you do that on purpose?
Well, I mean, I'm reading things and, but at the end of the day, maybe that softened things up for you a little bit, made you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Maybe. I don't know that I was ever uncomfortable about it though. That wasn't ever me.
Right.
I'm talking about other women in general.
In general, yeah. Well, there are different feelings that people have around
For sure.
going to the bathroom, smells.
Yeah.
So back to constipation.
Anyway, back to constipation. I had a hard time going to the bathroom, I think, since I was a little girl. And so I struggled for years, obviously, and I didn't know what was going on. And back then I didn't realize that food was a major contributor, obviously, because we didn't know anything.
What goes in comes out,
right?
Or doesn't come out.
But I wasn't doing research, or no one was telling me these things. And so I hit a point in like my early teenage years that I started seeing like gastrointestinal doctors, and they put me on like different diets. I think it was like the FODMAP diet or something like that. And at one point—
do you know what that is? Or could you—
I don't remember exactly. I just remember the title of it.
ChatGPT.
Go ChatGPT it, FODMAP. You had to eliminate certain foods and only eat certain foods. But I think I tried that and it didn't really work. And I think at one point they thought I had some like weird like parasite.
Okay.
And they gave me these antibiotics. I remember taking them. Actually, I remember someone bringing the prescription with them to Italy because I was in Italy and they didn't have it in time. Anyway, it was just this disgusting antibiotic that just made me feel sicker to kill the parasite. Right. And then they still couldn't—
You still felt terrible.
I still felt terrible. So like it just continued on. No doctor could really tell me what was going on. They just gave me like Miralax or something like that. And obviously that works for a little while and then it stops working.
It's more of a Band-Aid. You're not fixing the problem.
Yeah.
The root of the problem.
100%, which is what Western medicine does, right? Like a lot of the times it's a Band-Aid.
Treat the symptom.
Treat the symptom. Here's a medication. Treat the symptom. You're good to go.
Right.
I wasn't really buying any of that. It wasn't working for me. And then I went off to college and I ignored it because I was just like, whatever. Like I'm just going to deal with it.
And a lot of people have to deal with discomfort, right?
Yeah.
You get used to dealing with it.
You normalize it.
Because you don't have any other options.
You normalize
Maybe you don't
the
have
pain.
any other options, right?
Yeah.
And some things can't be fixed. There's
True.
that too.
So at that time I was like, well, no one can find anything wrong with me. I'm just going to normalize this. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Until I wasn't fine because after college, I started hitting walls where everything I ate honestly made me feel sick. And so I started losing more weight because I struggled with an eating disorder when I was younger too.
Did you know, was it a time of the day? Was breakfast worse than lunch worse than dinner?
No, and I couldn't pinpoint that now because honestly, whatever I ate just made me feel sick. And it's because when you eat a food and like gluten was part of it, right? So I would eat gluten for like random parts of different meals. So even if you don't eat it one day and you eat it the day before that, you're still feeling residual symptoms like later on. It's not just the day of or the day after. Like that stuff can linger in you if you have a sensitivity to it. So I obviously was just eating everything and not understanding anything about what was going on in my body.
And back then there wasn't as much information about gluten. I mean, you had people who are celiac.
Yeah, and I'm not celiac, by the way.
Right.
But
and then I imagine at this time, that was really anyone who was celiac wouldn't eat gluten. But beyond that, it wasn't part of. You wouldn't go to a restaurant and see on the menu gluten-free options.
No, I was like in my early 20s, so this was like over 10 years ago.
So people weren't even talking about that it might be gluten.
No one told me that yet until I was pointed in, and someone in my family recommended an Eastern medicine doctor, Deborah Kim.
Amazing.
And
I love Debbie.
We love Debbie.
I see Debbie too.
And so someone pointed me to see her, but it wasn't until then, like I had hit that wall and I was feeling uncomfortable and I was like, something needs to change, right? So someone in my family told me to go see her and then I saw her. But up until then, it was a myriad of different issues that like nobody could solve. And actually, sorry, I skipped a step. I went to go run tests before I saw her. And
doctor ran you through
a doctor ran me through a series of tests. One of the tests was they made me drink this chalky white substance that was like absolutely disgusting. It was like this thick chalky white substance.
Interesting.
And then they made me sit in this room for 2 hours while they saw the way that my body processed the substance.
Right.
Because they thought I had like a processing disorder of some sort.
Okay.
Like the way that
it's nice that they have these tests available because I'm sure they do find things.
Sure.
They find issues, I'm sure.
Maybe.
At times, yeah.
In my case, I wasn't so lucky in that situation because after the test, after sitting in there, like struggling, I went up to the doctor and I said, hey, like, what's wrong with me? And he basically said, like, we couldn't find anything wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. And I remember getting like visibly very upset and being like, but I literally feel so sick all the time.
Right.
Like, why can't you tell me
so
something?
Frustrating.
Like, I was so frustrated at that point because
and it's not his fault.
No, of course not.
He's using what tools the doctor has. Right.
Sure. Yes. But I didn't allow myself to accept that answer.
Of course.
Because I knew.
And you can't and you shouldn't.
No, because I knew that in that moment that something was wrong with me and I needed to find an answer somewhere else. So I learned to listen to myself, which everybody should. If you feel something is wrong with you,
trust your gut.
No one is telling you that something's wrong with you, find a different avenue to find it out. Like go to a different doctor, try a different modality. And so I was pointed
Be open to change.
100%.
Right.
And so I was open to going to a different kind of doctor. And so I saw an Eastern medicine doctor, and but it wasn't until then that I got any answers. And I was, I think, like 22 at this point. So my whole entire childhood.
Right. And you ate a lot of pasta. You were
I'm Italian. So food is culture. And we ate pasta and pizza and all of the things. And a lot of the times I was not feeling good afterwards.
Or not going to the bathroom.
Exactly.
Right. So tell me more about meeting Debbie for your first time. Finding Debbie was a big turning point for you.
Yeah.
What made her approach so different from everything else that you had tried?
Well, she's a Chinese medicine doctor, and she does acupuncture, and everything is based on nutrition and like supplements. So she did her own version of testing, and I'm not going to necessarily get into that, but she does her own version of testing, and she tries to understand what's going on in your body. And she took me through an elimination diet. And so I started eliminating certain things in my diet and then incorporating them back in and understanding what worked for me and what didn't. And at the time, gluten was a big thing that was like a no-no for me. And
right off the bat.
And I think dairy
you learned
was
that
too.
From the elimination diet, you're saying?
Yeah. And so
you felt more connected to your body. You're saying for a long time you felt disconnected. Seeing Debbie, you started
helped me feel more connected. I learned to trust my body more and I felt more connected. And so I think we discovered that like my gallbladder was dysfunctional.
How does an elimination diet work?
So you start to eliminate certain foods. And then you
everything or like what foods? Obviously, you have to eat. What foods are you eating during an elimination diet?
I was eating mostly like protein and vegetables and some grains.
There's a protocol.
There's a protocol for it, and I think that everyone's elimination diet might be a little bit different.
Interesting, yeah.
But she eliminated gluten, dairy, I think certain grains at some point. So I was eating basically like vegetables, proteins, and like potatoes, sweet potatoes, and everything was cooked. She wanted me eating things that were really easy to digest.
Right.
And because raw food is very hard to digest if you think about it. So yeah, she took me through an elimination diet, and I've been off gluten since. I eat a little bit more dairy now because I can tolerate it, but gluten was one of the main things that was probably causing a lot of my discomfort. And so, yeah, she put me on supplements and figuring out my gut issues, gallbladder issues, a slew of other things, I'm sure. But I eventually felt back on track by doing all of this work and seeing her once a month and acupuncture and everything.
What type of supplements are you taking?
Well, it's different every time I see her.
Personalized.
But it's personalized. You get a personalized protocol with her. So everybody's going to take something different.
Based on what your body
needs.
Incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you were way ahead of the curve with things like gluten-free and supplements, as we were just discussing. And it sounds like because this was at a time when gluten-free, wasn't really discussed, and here you are not ordering pasta or turning down bread and not eating pizza. Did you find it challenging with relationships, with friends, with family?
Yes. At the beginning, I remember getting a lot of pushback from my friends and family. Not friends, actually, just family. And that was because obviously like gluten was a big part of what we ate in the Italian cuisine, in the Italian culture. And so nobody understand like, oh, like why are you not eating these things? Because no one else was doing it. And they thought it was really extreme. I was honestly like made fun of a bunch, and there
like
was
teasing
like teasing me, not in like a malicious way, but teasing me because no one understood what I was going through. Which is still
hard it's frustrating when you're experiencing so much discomfort and pain. Even someone teasing you can be.
Well, yeah, and you get frustrated, and so you don't feel like you can talk about what you're going through with anybody because everyone's just teasing you about it and not being understanding.
Right.
And so I stopped talking about it with a lot of people. I actually remember eating this is weird, but I remember eating certain meals and people reacting, being like, can I eat this in front of you? Like they'll be ordering pasta. People will feel bad.
Still happens every once in a while, I think. Right?
Rarely at this point, but it happened a lot early on because people weren't not eating gluten very often. So it was this new thing that people weren't used to. And I was like, this doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. Like I'm not eating this food because it makes me feel sick.
But you still want people to enjoy their experiences with
100%,
food if it makes them feel great.
But that's a them thing. Like what I don't eat shouldn't have an impact on what someone else decides to consume. Like what makes me sick shouldn't make a difference to you.
Of course.
Like if that makes you feel uncomfortable, then that seems like a you problem.
Right.
Like, sorry, but it's...
Yeah.
And that was what was frustrating is like what I do, what choices I make and what I decide to do with my body should not affect the way that you feel about your own.
Right. Yeah.
Because my experience is different from your experience.
Of course. Yeah. So you talk a lot about healing not being linear through this healing process. And what does that mean to you now?
Well, it's not linear because we go through many setbacks, right? You can feel good one month and not feel good another month, depending on your circumstances or what you're going on, what's going on with you stress-wise or outside of
environments and
work. 100%. So it's never linear for anybody. You can feel good one day and not feel good another. So like you have ups and downs.
Sleep. I'm sure all of these.
Sleep, environment, diet, travel, stress, everything. Your children, the people coming in and out who are sick, getting you sick, right? So like it's never linear and it's never going to be linear. And I think we have to accept the fact that like we're going to go through ups and downs in our life with our health and but in order to try to mitigate that and to try to keep ourselves as healthy as possible, like I take supplements on a daily basis. And I really think that that's important because everything we get from our food is not, there's not enough, the soil is not as good as it once was. So the
topsoil.
Yes. So like the vegetables and any crop is basically like not as nutrient dense as it once was because the soil has been stripped of nutrients. And so in order to get the proper nutrients, we need to supplement with supplements, but finding supplements that are actually nutrient dense because there are a lot of supplements out there on the market that are probably not good quality. And so people are wasting a lot of money on those.
What would you recommend to somebody in that case? Like how do they find the right supplements or supplements they can trust?
I think that you can do research on the different brands and see how transparent they are and what kind of testing they do on their supplements. Just do research on the supplement brand before you buy something. And if you don't know, look it up. Because they'll show whether or not they're transparent about what ingredients they use, et cetera, and what testing that they do. So if a company
What's
is not...
What's the website that you use for...
Well, EWG is a website that I use to look up the toxic burden or the toxic level on certain products or food or like makeup, household care products, anything you put on your body. They even, I think, have certain foods on there. Don't quote me on that. But EWG is Environmental Working Group.
I saw something.
Yeah, they have a lot of things on there that you can look up what chemicals are in certain things. And I think that's really useful for people. But that's not related to supplements.
Got it. So moving forward, let's talk a little bit more about your personal life. Losing your mom while you were pregnant with Dino. Mm-hmm. That's such a powerful emotional chapter in your life. How did that experience change you?
Well, going through, my mom had stage 4 glioblastoma, and that was really life-changing because watching your mom or any family member for that matter deteriorate in front of your eyes is completely heartbreaking. And I was holding life and death at the same time. I remember at the time I was doing a lot of spiritual work on myself, like meditating every day. I was working with a life coach. I was really trying to ground myself as much as possible so that I showed up for myself as much as I could because it was debilitating taking care of my mom. And so I needed to be as strong as I could and be there for myself. And I think that also speaks to this show as well. Like, showing up for yourself really, really matters because you can't show up for anyone else if you don't show up for yourself. Like, the glass is, what is the phrase again?
Can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't pour from an empty cup. Thank you. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't support others and be there for others if you don't show up and support yourself first. And so I really focused on myself during that portion, and that really helped me get through it. And I was really, and I think that just even going through all of that with my mom just made me have a different
perspective.
Perspective on life. And it was really beautiful that I was pregnant with another life while I was watching someone pass away.
Right. Your first son, your firstborn.
Yeah. So that just really, going through the death of my mom and then having a baby, I mean, those are two monumental things that just change a person in general. And so I just felt that my priorities shifted and I was more family oriented after both of those and more focused on myself in a different way than I was before.
Right. I remember when you shared the news with your mom and she was really just to see the smile on her face when she was really struggling so much and going through such a difficult period in her life. She was so excited and so happy.
She was very excited. It was very sad that she wasn't there to see him.
Yeah. So moving on to your second born. When Roma was born, I remember you craving something that was just yours. Mm-hmm. What was it about that time that made you feel ready to start No Matcha No Mama?
I don't know exactly what made me feel ready. It was more just like a gut instinct. There wasn't like a pivotal moment or something that like happened externally. It was more so a shift inside of myself that I just craved a different kind of connection and a different kind of life for myself. I wanted to be more inspired. I remember working with Liz, my life coach. Her name is Liz Mars. I love her. She, like, working with her and figuring out what I wanted to feel myself. So I wanted to feel more inspired in my daily life. And then that intention kind of just spiraled into wanting to share with others because I was already always doing that. Like my friends come to me about different products or different supplements or really anything that they have a question about in the health and wellness space, I get asked a lot about. And so I said, well, if people are already doing this, like, why don't I just start sharing with more people? And so I started to connect the dots and realizing that health and wellness is something that I'm very, very passionate about. It's something that I live and breathe, you know.
Of course.
And so it was like a bunch of different things that happened internally where I just decided that I wanted to share. So I started sharing on Instagram. And then you and I were having more conversations about where I wanted it to go and what I really wanted to do because it didn't seem like Instagram was enough, really. And that's kind of where
You wanted it to feel larger and have more of an impact.
Yeah, I wanted to have more of an impact on other people. And I think that is what I want. I want to be able to provide people with something that's impactful and something that's important in their life that's also rooted in community and rooted in love and rooted in intention.
Was having kids and having Dina and having Roma and Roma being so small, was that inspiring to when you're thinking about the next generation? Was that motivating in a way for this show as well?
I don't know that I thought about it in that way, but if I reflect on that now, I think that if I can provide more tools and more knowledge for that generation where they grow up knowing how to cope and knowing how to move through life in a way that I wish that I knew how,
right?
I think that that's incredible.
I think what's interesting too is that kids feel, and probably, parents also are partially to blame here, but you want your kids to eat certain foods and you're pushing certain things on children at a young age, and you're trying to just make sure that they get all the nutrients that they need to grow and to have a healthy mind and body, etc. And I wonder if some of the pushing of certain foods can be taken too far and make it feel like they can't say no to certain things. Mm-hmm. It might be green beans at the table in the beginning, and then it's pasta later on in life. And pasta, it might be gluten in your specific example is what really made you feel sick. And I wonder if it starts at an earlier age with hey, you have to finish your potatoes, you have to finish your beans, you have to eat all of these things.
I wonder that too. I think that there can be, I'm crazy about what they eat because I want them to be as healthy as possible. But I also think that there's a balance, right? Like we don't allow them to have certain sugars all the time, but you can never have this.
Right.
Right. Except for fast food, which I will never feed my kid. But it doesn't mean he's not going to get it elsewhere when he's older. But I think that teaching them about foods at an early age will be important too. Like obviously now they don't understand because they're so little, but eventually you start teaching them about what foods are good for them and which ones aren't, and why that is, and trying to create a healthy relationship and a balanced relationship with food, because I obviously don't want it to go too far, and I don't want them to have some sort of eating disorder because they think that they can't eat a certain food, or restrict them to a certain point where they think they have to hide it.
Of course.
Because that's also
Of course. But when they're eating, also to make sure that they have lots of healthy options, so that if they say they don't like something or if they don't want something, to be able to respect that, to understand that maybe it's not making them feel well, but they can't voice that the same way, or they don't have the tools and know how to say, I don't like this because I don't feel well. Obviously, they want sugar.
Yeah. But what's interesting, though, is I think that because, like, for example, Dino only really eats, like, natural sugars right now, right? So it's possible that at a certain point, if he eats too much regular sugar, he might notice that he gets a stomach ache.
Right.
And then he's going to say, I have a stomach ache. And we can be like, well, what did you eat that you think caused that stomach ache? because he might be more sensitive to it because he doesn't eat as much of it, right?
At what age does it make sense to start having conversations with him about journaling food? Obviously, he's not going to journal food right now, but to start helping him connect with his body to see how foods make him feel.
I don't know exactly what age. I think now is obviously too young because he doesn't really understand the connection yet. But I wonder if maybe like 5, 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly, but I think we'll have to feel it out. But I do want him to understand the connection and know what's going on in his body. And I think we can teach him that. And I think everybody can teach their kids that if they want to.
Yeah.
Because it would have been nice at a young age to understand what was causing me discomfort, because I probably wouldn't have eaten it. And maybe I'm wrong because a lot of kids don't care and they want to eat it anyways. But I think there might be a way to teach kids to be more mindful about it at an early age so that at a certain point they do care. And it's earlier than what we experienced.
With Halloween coming up around the corner, what advice would you give to parents who are looking for candies and options and treats?
There are a lot of good, better candy brands out there. Like there's Unreal, which is pretty good. I would have to look other ones up, but there are better ones in Whole Foods in their candy section. Look, I think that if our kids have a little bit of candy on Halloween, that's normal. Like it's not going to kill them.
The friends are eating candy.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to stop it. And as much as it kills me inside, I'm going to need to let him have a little bit. You can also do something called the Switch Witch.
Okay.
Where parents will trade out the normal candy for healthier candy and like toys. So in the morning, they get a basket of different goodies. So you could take that approach and let them eat it.
Learn how to trade.
Well, you just switch it for them.
You switch it for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You say, we're doing the Switch Witch, and you give them even cooler things.
Do you have to wear a...
Sure, you can wear a hat if you want. But that's a good option if you're really paranoid. Or you let them have a few pieces and you say, look, we're done with the candy, which is also fine. Like you're the parent. You can impart whatever rule you want. But if you don't let them have any of it, then they're just going to get upset with you.
Of course.
And I don't know what that teaches them necessarily. But if they have a little bit of candy and they have a really healthy diet, it's really not going to kill them. Should you let them have a lot of it? I'm not going to. Do whatever you want as a parent, but...
Have you seen those videos on Jimmy Kimmel where like the kids wake up the next day and their parents...
What? What?
The parents tell their kids that they ate all their candy.
Oh, I have seen these. Or you can just do that and pretend you ate all their candy.
And they just start like the waterworks start immediately. You get the one kid every once in a while who's like, "It's okay, Daddy. It's okay, Mommy. I'm glad you enjoyed it."
Should we do that with Dina and mess with him?
Oh my God. I just don't even.
We should definitely do that. He's going to cry. And
he doesn't even really eat candy. So he wouldn't even really know.
He wouldn't care.
Yeah.
We can just let him have some ice cream. Some frozen fruit co.
Some gelato. So let's talk more about matcha.
Okay.
Matcha has become a symbol for you,
yes.
Symbolic for you. What does that ritual represent beyond just the drink?
The ritual of matcha it represents coming back to yourself. It's having that few minutes to make the drink, to whisk it, to add whatever it is, to feel like you're making, for me, it's like feeling like I'm making this like concoction that's good for me in the morning. And that's really grounding. But it's for me. Like I'm making it for myself.
Right.
I am just doing something for me, which a lot of people don't stop to do. And I think it's important to try to ground yourself in the morning with some sort of ritual, whatever that is for you. Some people do meditation, and I love meditating. Some people do breath work. I also love that, but I don't always have time to do that. And some people stretch, some people work out. Whatever it is for you, find that ritual, so that you are taking some time for yourself. Because again, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And even giving yourself 5-10 minutes every day where you're dedicating that time to yourself feels really good.
And it's a choice that's yours.
Yes, it is for you. It is a choice.
The rest of the day can kind of fall apart or not, or just completely be out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do this, you have to do that. You get pulled in a million different directions. But to be able to start the day with a choice that's yours.
Yeah, I think is really beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's what it means to me.
It's great.
Yeah.
How do you make your matcha?
Every morning, I make a hot matcha with a coconut cashew milk. I do like a full teaspoon of matcha, sometimes a teaspoon and a half if I'm really tired, like these days with jet lag.
You made me 3 today?
Yeah. Not in this, but earlier, yeah.
How much is in here?
This is only half a teaspoon. Wow. Okay, so coconut cashew milk, matcha, cinnamon, collagen protein, stevia.
And you make your own milk?
I make my own milk, yeah. Terrasol Foods makes the best nuts for milking.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you use a process. How do you process?
I use an almond cow.
Okay.
And so it has like a filter basket where you fill it up to a certain level with whatever nuts you're using. So I use coconuts and cashews, shredded coconut, and then you put it on the like little shredder blender thing, the processor, and then you fill the basket up with water, and then you add the top in, you let it blend up, and then it makes you milk, and then you throw out whatever
the
nuts
fibers
are left. Yeah,
I feel like they on their site or on their Instagram they have all these really crazy.
Yeah, they have a ton of recipes.
Pumpkin spice season's around the corner.
Do you want a pumpkin spice latte? Oh, yeah. Peak actually just came out with a pumpkin spice coconut creamer that I think we need to try.
Ooh, I like that.
Should I try that in matcha? Because I think it might be interesting.
Yeah. That could be
the
really
color
good.
might be a little weird, but.
As long as it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters. Tell us a story of how you came up with the name No Matcha No Mama.
Well, I have this T-shirt that my mom gave me, I think 20 years ago at this point. And it says, no coffee, no worky. And you said, what about no matcha, no mama? Because no coffee, no worky isn't really your thing. Like, I don't drink coffee.
Drink coffee.
Yeah. So
when did you stop drinking coffee?
I think I cut it out when I started seeing Debbie because it really hurt my stomach. It was too acidic.
Well, did you have a go-to coffee before that?
I think I liked lattes, like vanilla lattes. Super basic. Some cappuccinos.
Starbucks?
Sure, sometimes. I don't really remember.
It was so long ago.
Yeah.
Did you ever make the Italian mocha cup?
The what?
The mocha coffees on the stovetop for yourself?
The mocha coffees? You mean the espressos?
Espressos, yeah.
Maybe?
A little bit.
I mean, I was in college, so I don't even remember what I was doing. I was like buying lattes from whatever.
The USC coffee shop.
Which is like crap quality, but it's what you get.
So you drink matcha exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
No matcha, no mama.
So then you were like, no matcha, no mama. And I go, wait, that's a great name. And this was before we came out with, but this was before we came up with the idea for the podcast. And I started thinking about that as like a brand name, like No Matcha No Mama, and experimenting with videos. And it didn't really work with the video. But then I came up with the No Matcha No Mama podcast and started brainstorming. And I was like, what if I make a matcha for all of my guests, which is like rooted in intention based on what they like, and share a inspiring and rooted, grounded conversation over a matcha, which is something that I love to do.
Of course.
And that was the birth of No Matcha No Mama. And once I decided to do it, I just went for it.
So matcha really represents the ritual.
Yeah.
And No Mama really represents the showing up for yourself or being able to.
Like without my ritual, without my matcha, I am not the same mama.
Not the same person.
No. And I don't think that I think once you figure out that you have certain rituals and you want to dedicate time to it for yourself, that you're not the same person if you don't do those things. And that's not to say that you need to put pressure on yourself to like meditate every single morning. And if you don't, you beat yourself up over it, right?
Right.
Or if you don't go to yourself that day, that you're like hard on yourself for it. I also think that that's not great. But
be easy.
Be easy on yourself because we all go through phases and we all have things that happen and it's fine. You'll move on from that. Oh. But yeah, without my ritual.
Sometimes you're up at 3 a.m.
or 2 a.m. with children who are jet lagged and you might not get to your ritual that day. And you know what? Whatever.
Do you find time, if the morning is challenging, do you ever try to find time later in the afternoon or throughout the day to?
Sometimes I actually think it's really hard for me to come back to myself later in the day if I don't do it in the morning.
Depending on what the day looks like.
Depending on what the day looks like. Yeah. Like with meditation, if I don't do it in the morning, I usually won't get to it. Unless I'm seeing Liz and she walks me through a meditation.
Guided meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine drinking matcha later in the afternoon probably is not a great idea if you're trying to get to sleep early or to have good quality sleep.
No.
So meditation, something different.
Mm-hmm.
So your approach to wellness now feels really balanced. Not extreme, not too rigid. How did you find the middle ground?
How did I find the middle ground? Just experiencing that I can get a little bit crazy and a little bit rigid, and that doesn't feel good. So realizing that you can be 80-20 with it, a lot of the time it's closer to 90-10 for me, but
can you dive more into that?
Like, if I'm cooking for myself during the week for the most part, like most days and nights, right? If I'm cooking for us and I know exactly what's going into our food and I'm using clean products and I'm home most of the time in our like filtered home, if we're eating out on the weekends, I'm not as concerned about where we're eating, the quality of the ingredients, what oils they're using, what pans they're using, because I know that for the majority of that week, we've been really clean. That's an example. Or like every once in a while, I'll use a product that's not as clean. I don't know. It's allowing yourself to have a little bit of freedom. Like some people live really clean lifestyles and get Botox and do this and that. And like that's their version of the 80-20 rule. I've never gotten Botox. I haven't gotten it yet. I might at some point. But I think finding ways so that you feel more balanced. Like it's not a rule of like, I do this and I do that in order to feel 80-20, but like it's finding out how you can feel okay with the choices that you're making based on
8 out of 10 times.
Yeah, sure.
So most of the week, during the week, you really tried to focus on being very good, clean, healthy. And then on the week, would you say the weekends is really where you...
A little bit more relaxed.
A little bit more relaxed.
And some weekends we're not as relaxed and I cook all the time and that week might be less balanced and that's okay too.
Right.
But not putting the pressure on myself always to make it perfect every time.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear people talk about cheat meals and...
Yeah, exactly.
It's important to be able to treat yourself.
Yeah.
And not be hard on yourself at the same time. When life feels off, what's the first thing that you do to bring yourself back into alignment?
I check in with myself. Recently, I was going through a very difficult period where I was in fight or flight pretty much the whole day. I was not regulated at all. And I think it was right before we left for our trip in July for the first time with both kids. I was feeling really stressed out and really, really, really like anxious and completely just out of alignment. And I was trying breath work. I was trying some meditation, but like none of it was really working. I did some acupuncture. And then I think at one point I saw Debbie and she put me on some supplements. And like eventually it came back down. But I I think that it's important in moments where you feel out of alignment to just check in with yourself and try to understand what's causing your discomfort. So if you're stressed, trying to figure out the root cause of the stress and then figuring out which modalities can help you through it. Because like, for example, acupuncture was super helpful to like bring my nervous system back down to a more regulated state. So like I went to go see Sarah Norvilis a bunch of times to try to like regulate my nervous system. So it's leaning on the people in your life that can help you through it, because you shouldn't have to do it alone.
Does journaling help you understand where things might have gone awry?
And I will say
and where you start feeling better.
Yeah, I will say that I've leaned on journaling to do that a lot of the times, just to understand what the stresses are. And then you can address them and say, you can try to get rid of the story too, because a lot of the times you're telling yourself a story that's making yourself stressed. That's not true. So like trying to tell yourself a different story that's more rooted in reality, and that can help you basically like reversing the story in order to like one thing can be true, but these two other things that are more positive can also be true, and that can also help you feel better.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks.
So you always end your interviews asking guests about their rituals.
Mm-hmm.
So
I start actually.
Oh, sorry. Should have known that. You always start your interview asking guests about their rituals. So what's one ritual that you're leaning on the most right now?
I mean, my matcha.
Of course. But aside from your matcha.
Aside from my matcha. Working out.
Okay.
Going back to the gym has really helped me regulate my nervous system again and make me feel like myself again after postpartum of not working out at home.
Movement.
Yeah, movement.
How many days a week?
Before we left for a trip, it was 4 days a week. Yeah.
You find that that's the good number for you?
Yeah, like 3 to 4 days a week for sure.
Allows you to rest, recover.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, what's next for you or for No Matcha No Mama as you move into the next season?
What is next? I don't know exactly what's next. I think that I am going to ride this out and see what happens and not have a plan, but like allowing things to unfold the way that they should and not having a specific attachment to what I need to achieve from this or what is next, because I think that things fall a little bit more into place when I'm not clinging so close to needing something to happen.
Result.
Yeah, needing a result from something. But feeling really excited and inspired to talk to people and show that to the world, and then seeing what happens from there and being open to whatever it is that is unfolding.
Focus on the process.
Yeah. Not focusing on the end result, like you said, but allowing the process to enlighten me and inspire me and make me happy. Because once you hit an end result,
how long does that last? Right?
Yeah.
The feeling,
it's actually focusing on the feeling too. Like I want to feel a certain way. So as long as I'm feeling that way through the process, that's all you need.
You're achieving the result.
Right. You're achieving the result right there. Like, what would that result make you feel? And focusing on that feeling on a daily basis and what makes you feel that way on a daily basis.
Right.
That is success right there.
Yeah. And your why is just so beautiful, I think, just to
Thanks, honey.
Expand and to help so many
Let's
people.
All expand and grow
it's
together.
All about connection.
Mm-hmm. That's what I want.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.